the calendar. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Yo, it's me. It's the HCC. I am back after a week off. I have to go ahead and give a big thanks, to my son Mike, who, last week for running the show, as I was a little bit, not with it to be able to do it and stuff like that. I was able to be in the chat a little bit, but Dom, how you doing? Mike, John, how you guys doing? Guys and girls watching the replay and stuff. Very, very happy to finally make this happen. Everything lined up. For G and I have been talking for
7 months.
6 or 7 months. Everything
since February, so 9 months.
Yes, we've been talking since like February. About doing a show and everything together, and it just so happened that everything aligned. Whereas, and like I told everybody, people were like, "Why are you doing a show on Tuesday when you're normally on Wednesday?" And the reason is because tomorrow is my wedding anniversary. Number one, and number two, that means I'm not stupid.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Big John, how are you? Chuck, how you doing? So, guys, this is G, Louisville Sports Cards. Well, I would say is one of the only breakers that I really deal with now on a regular basis. Because they're a great. I mean, I had the pleasure of meeting them, meeting G and the people in the crew there a few times at the National, at some at the Culture Collision here in Atlanta. So, G, go ahead and take the floor. Introduce yourself to everybody a little bit about yourself.
G is short for Garrett. So that's the real name. Work with Louisville Sports Cards, which is owned by Chris and Kristen Buckler. I've been doing cards since I was a young boy with my dad. We used to go to shows together and set up when I was, probably like 8 years old. Collected all through high school, which was just so happened to be LeBron's senior year. And then I went to college and didn't really care about cards in college. And so I don't have any LeBron stuff. I'm a huge MJ guy, which you can see behind me. There's a lot of Jordan stuff back there. And then after college in 2009, I got back into cards and kind of picked right up where I left off. And then just did it as kind of a side thing for about 10 years. And then in 2019, I started breaking with Louisville Sports Cards, handling all the online e-commerce. And then in 2021, I quit my corporate full-time job, and now I do just sports cards full-time for the last almost 4 years.
Wow.
And now we're here on a Tuesday night doing a podcast about sports cards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
That's pretty cool. So when you get back into the hobby, you jump in right away, big stuff, or you kind of,
I remember when I first started getting back in, my girlfriend at the time was like, "What are you doing? What is this?" And so I actually went on. It was either Steel City or Blowout, one of them, and I actually bought some 90s baseball boxes just because that's what I was used to, 90s basketball boxes, and started opening those. And then I got my collection from my parents' house. And then I kind of went really into the deep water in 2011 and started opening cases of 2011 Bowman and to rookies and stars football, all that kinds of stuff. And kind of went wild with wax for a few years from 2011 till 2015, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then started just really concentrating on buying Jordans again. between like 2015 and 2019. So
when you got back, you got that lull in the, you got the not elite. You get back in as, people really aren't as interested in the hobby as they are today.
Yeah, I kind of say that it was, I jumped right back in like a lot of people did during COVID. There just wasn't any COVID then. And I just kind of went right back into what I was used to.
Right.
And I think what happened is during COVID, a lot of people were stuck at home and they started going through their collections and they started doing the same thing because, we sell a lot of 80s and 90s boxes in the store because that's what people know and it's economically feasible. And, we really can't keep like mid 80s baseball boxes on the shelf because people just love opening them. It takes them back to their childhood. It's the nostalgia of chasing those rookie cards back in the 80s and 90s, which is, the junk wax era per se.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you guys at at Louisville, how have you guys brought in the non-sports cards? So like, has that been there for a while, or do you guys like how all of a sudden now, as you guys in a card shop, I gotta believe at one point, the Pokemon part, or the non-sports card stuff probably wasn't as big as it is today. Was it there when you got back into working with those before you joined them? Was it there?
No, so we before I started working with the store, they moved to the current location in Middletown in Louisville. We had a special section that was just gaming. So when Louisville Sports Cards first opened, it was Louisville Sports Cards and gaming, and it just really didn't take off. So they dropped the gaming. I want to say it was like 2017, 2018. That might not be exact. And then really didn't do any non-sport until Adam took over. So that's kind of like Adam's lane. He kind of stays in that. He runs it. He buys the majority of the Pokemon and non-sport for the store. And I would say that's probably been the last 2+ years. And it's really brought in a whole different level of collector and clientele to the store. And there's people that come in that look just for that stuff. And now One Piece is getting big, and we're not direct with them, but we do get some One Piece from distributors, and it sells pretty well.
How about Lorcana?
Yeah, Lorcana as well. Yeah, so One Piece, Lorcana, Pokemon. We've always had a Star Wars market and a Marvel market. Those have always been consistent. And that's just with the upper deck allocation, which we have with with hockey as well. But yeah, Lorcana and Pokemon has definitely taken off. I mean, I think we get every SKU. I'm not sure exactly how much of each SKU we get. Some we get more, less than others.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it also brings kids into the store, and this is a busy time of the year for a card shop going into the holidays and Black Friday, and parents and grandparents coming in looking for stocking stuffers and Christmas gifts for their kids and grandkids. So, and the good thing about Pokemon is the price point is a lot lower, and you can pack pretty much every product out. So a kid can come in, or someone who doesn't want to spend $200 on a booster box, they can grab 3 or 4 packs for under $20,
right?
Which is nice.
So now with the with the shop, do you guys? I mean, obviously, you have your boxes and everything. How's like your singles market and that type of stuff in that area and everything? Are you guys do you have a lot of that action also, or is it more just new packs and boxes?
Well, for sure, when you get some time, come check out the store. But I would say, I don't know the breakdown of percentages, but right. I know that like when other card shops come and visit the store, they make comments about the amount of singles that we have. That's one thing Chris always tries to make sure is stocked every day is singles. I would say we have 2, 4, 6, probably 15 display cases of singles.
Oh, cow.
Yeah, it's a lot. So he He definitely buys a lot. I think he just
Brian.
bought a bunch of downtowns and kabooms and
Matty.
Michael Jordan rookie today.
So what kind of stuff do you see coming into the shop? Do you see people? I mean, is it all across the board of people trying to? Is it sell and trade with you guys?
Yeah, you'll have I would say the biggest thing is not the biggest, but the most frequent is people calling, saying that they found their collection or they inherited a collection or their uncle passed away unfortunately and they have their collection and I would say at least 5 times a day the phone rings for that right there. But I think just from the last few years of building the brand online and going to shows and with doing stuff with Juice and Andrew at Lootbox and kind of hitting different markets, we really see a lot of cool stuff coming as well. And vintage is one thing that Chris did before the store, like just buying and selling vintage out of his house. So he has a pretty good connection with the vintage market on that, which pre 1980, and then now people are telling me vintage is mid 90s now, which is kind of crazy. But
I know. If you go by what the word vintage means, it is crazy. That's why it's funny. And people go, oh, that's why people would, like in some other face group, just reselling Facebook groups that I'm in, every now and again, somebody will post, hey, I got these, vintage sports cards, from the 80s, and people are like, technically okay, but in the sports card market,
yeah,
not really what people are called vintage. Yes,
right.
they're 40 years old, but in the sports card market, we don't look at that as vintage.
No,
So it's like, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. It's like, okay,
yeah.
try and sell them. If you try and stuff like that. So I get that part.
I
Sure.
still stick to pre 1980. I mean, if we're calling vintage, I'll be 40 in June next year, so I guess I'm vintage now. So I'll have to add that onto my my dating profile app that I'm vintage.
You damn youngster. 40, golly.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind being 40 again.
But I think we get a lot of different things that come in, and it's not we don't buy everything, but if it makes sense, that if it's a card that we can use at the National, or if it's a card we can use at the Chicago show this weekend, the Sports Spectacular, or if it's a show that we're going to set up like at the Dallas Card Show or Burbank or something like that, then yeah, if it makes sense, as long as the number is right, we don't really say no as long as it makes sense for the business.
Yeah. So you're talking about people calling and all that kind of stuff. So I asked, a while back, I had, Ty Wilson on the show, and I asked him, a question I'm going to ask you is how hard is it to break the news to someone when they walk in with that binder thinking they have, their retirement fund, in that binder, and you go through it and you're like, sorry.
It's it can be tough, and we have there's 5 of us. Yeah, there's 5 of us that work at the store in different forms or fashions, and we all kind of have a different spiel or a different response. So my background, I was a hospitality management major. I worked with corporate Marriott for 8 years, so I'm used to talking to people. So I'm more blunt. I'm just more straight up and just basically say, hey, unfortunately, these just aren't worth anything. And because I had the same thing. I was born in 1985. I had all the same stuff, and I carted it around from house to house in my 20s, and then I finally got tired of it and just threw it all, just burned it all. So, but it is tough because some people really do think that they have a gold mine. Now, I will say some of the cards in the 80s and early 90s in high grade PSA 10s are worth money. And that's where, if you're new or if you're not really, not a professional, but if you're not, well accustomed on the terms of the hobby, then you kind of think everything's a 10. Like I pulled it out of a pack, it should be a 10. And that's just kind of where, even cards out of packs in 2024 aren't 10s.
Oh, I know that.
So it's tough. But as long as you handle it in a professional way, then, just kind of you let them down nicely.
Yeah.
Gently.
Yeah. I mean, I could, I think I would kind of sort of be in your shoes of saying, hey, man, I understand what you want, but unfortunately, that's not what it is and stuff. And I see that, like I said, in some of the other reselling groups and stuff like that I'm in, people post the same type of stuff. And it's like, people are like, listen, it's not. And, and the people will argue back and forth. No, you guys are on side. It's like, okay, fine. Go on eBay and, just type in the card number, the player, type in the card, the player, the number, baseball card, and see what happens.
Yeah.
When you see 2,000 of them listed for anywhere from $1.50 to $1.85.
That's the big thing, is that like people go on eBay and they just search, and you could ask $1 million for your 1987 top set. A lot of people don't know how to go down to sold items and pull it up, or use 130 point, or I use Card Ladder for everything now. But getting a membership for something like that and really seeing what cards are selling for, and accurate data. But I had a guy come in the store 2 weeks ago. I met him in there on a Monday when we were off, and we did a deal like while the store was closed, because he didn't want to come in when it was open. And he told me he's making a killing right now, buying 80s and 90s like name rookies, Mattingly, Puckett, Clemens, McGuire, and he's gymming them. And he's buying them for cheap, and he's 10xing, sometimes 20xing on some of these cards. So you can do it as long as you have patience.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you exactly your point, and that's the thing, if you have the eye, for, for looking at a card and going, what, based off of what I see, corners, edges, centering with your eye and stuff like that, you can do that. Then you're right. You could definitely, have put yourself in a good situation to send it to PSA, get it to Gem and 10, and do, I mean, you're not wrong, John. It is a lot of work, but to a lot of people, that's not work. You know what I'm saying? For people to go, for people, if they have a Monday through Friday job and stuff, and they go on the weekend and they buy, collections, or they look for this kind of stuff. That's their fun time, so they don't look at it as a job.
Firestarter asked where I do breaks. As of right now, I just do them on Instagram. And it's Louisville Sports Cards Shop on the end of the Louisville Sports Cards.
In the video description, once is all of the links, for the website, the TikTok, Facebook group, the whole Megillah is in the description below, so you could click on that. I will tell you right now, a couple of different things, and I mean, I don't know if I've said this before when I've done some reveals, from these guys, pricing extremely fair, on point with anybody else and everything, and the breaks are well done. The cards get shipped to you, on a timely basis. That you're not wondering, G was the one who pulled the Max Clark for me and stuff, and we talked about getting it graded, and he came back and he goes, hey man, let's just get it authenticated, don't get it graded, because it's not good and everything. So like I said, there's only, I'm down to where, there's really only two guys, that I go ahead, and I'll break with, because, of, like I said, it's just not the pricing, it's the presentation of the breaks and everything. I always forget that they are on Instagram, so I'm sitting there going, what the frig? On YouTube, where the hell are they? And I'm like, oh crap, they're on Instagram.
I tried doing YouTube and Facebook for a little while, and I don't think we had StreamYard. We had a different software, and at the time, Instagram was not able to stream off the same feed as YouTube and Facebook, so I had to have 2 devices. And so speaking of that, I've been doing breaks for 5 years. I'm the only one that's ever done a break with Louisville Sports Cards, and I touch every single card. Like, no one sorts for me, no one ships for me. So if something gets messed up, it is 100% on me, because everyone knows not to touch the cards.
Yeah, but when you're doing like a case, like when you're doing a case of hobby boxes, you let Adam go ahead and have a little bit of fun.
Oh yeah, recently, yeah, for sure. Adam gets
a little bit.
Yeah. If it's during the day and Adam's there, he loves opening boxes with me. So, and honestly, I'm just, because I'm getting fat and old, my back starts to hurt. So I let Adam sit down so I can stand up and stretch my back. But I would say, but then again, if he's opening boxes, like, I do all the shipping because I'm just very organized and OCD when it comes to that. And that just came from the way I was raised, and then running hotels for 9 years, because I had, 40, 50 people working for me. And it's the same way with our grading operation too. I mean, it's extremely organized and very detailed, but, knock on wood, I'd say in 5 years, definitely less than 10 issues with breaks where I've like put the wrong label on a box or something like that.
And I'm sure it gets corrected.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's not like any one of those type of things, stuff like that.
No, I'll make sure it gets corrected one way or the other, and then, doing what I can to make sure the person's happy.
Yeah.
But I pride myself on that, and just making sure that everything is done correctly, and taking all the cards and sorting everything and getting them shipped out. And I try to ship next day as well, on as much as I can. Hobby, Topps Chrome update, it wasn't next day because we ended up doing 6 cases last week. Which isn't the biggest of any breaker, but like you said, I try to price it where it's fair and it's right in line with 90% of the people that are posting, product breaks out there.
Yeah, and I think, like, and just like, if you look in, they do team breaks. They'll do, spots, just, hey, a random stuff. They will sometimes, I know when it comes to football, sometimes you guys will do divisional breaks depending on the product and stuff. You guys, safe to say, mostly basketball, football, and baseball, and you mix in hockey. Because we
can't break hockey.
Because
Upper Deck, yeah. So
Upper Deck, yeah.
We asked to do it because we actually have a decent Upper Deck allocation, but they would not let us break it. I would say, just with the way, since the licenses have kind of changed or semi-changed with Fanatics, football has slowed way down, and then with the prices of basketball with Wemby, and they're really behind on getting basketball out right now. I mean, like, Hoops basketball not coming out, I think until mid-January. And it should be out by now. So we've just been really knocking out baseball pretty much.
So with a basketball, when you have someone like a Wemby come out, and like in his draft class, and then you had Scoot, and you had Brandon Miller, but obviously those guys really haven't done anything close to what he has been, the hype around him. And then even he's put up good numbers. I'm not going to consist, but it's only second year in the league. For crying out loud, you can't expect the guy to be killing it and everything. How hard is it harder to sell breaks by team in that type of standpoint, or is it harder to sell them as a random team? When you have, like I say, when you really have somebody who wants to go for that, like that one guy.
So I used to do nothing but random team breaks, and I kind of have done less and less of random team breaks just because the price of the boxes have gone up, quite a bit. Because I look at it as like, if a box of hoops is $300 and there's 30 NBA teams, you're talking about $10 per spot per box. So if you do 4 boxes, it's $40. And I would say not even half of the teams are going to get something that covers that spot. So
Right.
I always think about what I get into the break myself. And if I can't answer that, yes, then I typically don't post something like that. Now, over the years, I've built a very, very loyal base of about 15 to 20 guys who like to take, the bigger chases. So I've moved more towards PYT over the past, 2 years, I'd say. I see his comment down there, but I was just using that $300 as like an easy math example for discussion purposes. So,
But I don't think you're going to be that far off.
but I think hoops was like $300 last year.
Yeah.
I think it was. I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but I think Wimby 23-24 hoops was about that. But I kind of like the PYT a little bit better because there are some people like, for baseball, like you always, not always, but you take the Mets time to time. And then we have a local guy who takes the Mets. And then we got a local guy who's a Braves fan. And then a local guy who's a Cardinals fan. And I just think to myself, there's a Mariners fan. If I price the teams that I know that are PC teams for people that are loyal customers, they're probably going to buy those teams.
Right.
So I just look at it as if I have 30 teams and I know a third of them, if I price them correctly and fairly for our loyal customers, they're going to be sold, then I've got to sell 20 spots. And I don't want to waste my time posting a break if I don't think it's going to fill. And I'll only post it if I think I would get in it myself. That's kind of how I justify it and look at it.
Welcome, Tony.
What's up, Tony?
So John says, so do you have any information on Heritage High number?
I would have to check the calendar. I will say we really don't get a very advanced calendar. We're only being solicited products, give or take 2 or 3 weeks before release day. So let me give you an example. Let's see. I just sent this yesterday. And Chris does 95% of the ordering, but like Bowman's Best Baseball, 2024 Bowman's Best Baseball is going to be on Topps' website Thursday for pre-order. And they've got it posted pre-orders $299.99. And which means we'll probably get our, allocation on that in about 2 weeks. Because I think the release date on that is like December 17th or I'd have to look at the calendar, but
so you obviously do you wait to have the product in hand before you put the break on the website?
I usually post breaks Sunday night, Monday morning for a Wednesday release
of the release. I gotcha.
Yeah, because we'll get Topps products usually on Tuesday, the day before, and then obviously we're not allowed to sell it till Wednesday.
Right.
But Panini's been doing more Friday releases. For whatever reason, FedEx struggles to get us our product on Fridays. And then, it goes into the weekend and we're closed on Mondays and then we're not getting it until Tuesday. So we've had some issues with that. So with Panini products, I typically just kind of wait to post later on in the week because we kind of have to do it like the following week. But Mitchell,
yeah.
That's Beeswax 502 from the break.
Okay, Beeswax. What's up?
You might recognize that name.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, as a shop, and you guys break, how do you decide quantity-wise or whether or not this product is for breaking, this one is for the shop shelf?
It all depends on the product, first of all. And then Kristen and I usually just kind of go through, how much is coming and then how many they want to use for the store. And just kind of it goes product by product. There's really no set like percentage or anything like that. Like Topps Chrome Update, I think I did 2 hobby cases and then we only got 1 breaker case. So I broke that. Most of the breaker cases, if we get them, I'll do the breaks with those. And then the hobby boxes, we just kind of, either 50-50 it or, 1/3 for breaks, 2/3 for the store. Because Topps Chrome Update, it was a very popular product for the store.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, breaking, look, hey, I think everybody who's here, a lot of the guys that you're seeing the names and everything pop up in the chat, the guys have been, with me, for, like I said, this is, episode number 99, which is
awesome,
crazy.
Yeah,
it's been, like I said, 99 weeks in a row been coming here and stuff. That's why, why last week was important for me and my son to be able to go ahead and do the show. But I mean, we all understand what breaks are, and hey, I think as long as people go in with the right mindset, I think that's the most important thing, and people have to go ahead. And I think that's why I prefer a pick your own team versus random, because for baseball, I know there are some places where you can do trades. There are some places where you can't do trades, where people want all that kind of stuff. Me, I do not want to get the baseball team from Georgia. I don't like them. I can't stand them. I don't even like saying their name.
Yeah.
I would hate to go ahead and say, hey, because, it's $50 to go ahead and get in. It's not necessarily that it's $50 to get in. It's $50 to get in and then get a team that you do not want.
Right. It's a 1 in 30 shot.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's where I think it's better to do random on like, like a higher end product, like, Topps Triple Threads is coming out here soon. That'll probably be something where I do either Triple Threads, I'll do like a 1-box random divisional break, or, pack draft also is fun with Triple Threads, where you're guaranteed something. I like to do a lot of stuff where you're guaranteed at least to get something back. But randoms, like you said, it's it adds that roulette aspect to it.
Yeah.
A little bit, and you can hit big. I've had some people hit some huge cards over the years doing random teams. But like you said, if you're a Mets fan, you don't want to get the Atlanta team. And like, I'm after my dad passed away, I cheer for the Chiefs. So like, I don't want to get the Raiders or the Broncos.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I like to get that guarantee, and I would pay more for a product that I want and a team that I want for the chance to get the cards that I want versus more of just a random, dart at the border per se.
So when you're pricing your breaks, is it teams, players on a team, or just like do you look at it and see like potential hits? Is it based off of hits per team as you're pricing it per se?
Yeah, I look at the checklist and I'll look at the team sets and just kind of see how that breaks down. And then I'll just kind of take, like, if it's I'll use Topps Chrome Update because it's, relevant. And I'll take, like, it was a 6-box hobby case, which we had it at $250 a box. So that's what, $1,500. So I'll just create in my Excel spreadsheet, I'll put the total at the bottom, and I'll just start pricing teams, subtracting away from that 1,500, and then just kind of see where I'm at. And then I do look at other breakers, like big box breakers, and then other smaller breakers to see how my pricing kind of fell in line with other, other businesses. And then I kind of adjusted just to make sure it's fair and balanced and, and it's accurate more or less, just kind of being detailed with that.
As there was some, I saw somebody had posted a question or made a video about this. They did a short, and their short was based around the Breakers Delight type boxes.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who breaks, how do you feel about adding that into the hobby? Does it bring down a hobby box?
I think it's done. It's a positive, but it's also kind of a negative. Like it's grown the hobby. because you have a lot of breakers who are, they're getting this breaker account, and the breaker account, you do pay a higher percentage. You are paying more per box. So their margins, and that's why sometimes you see some breakers that are always higher than others, is because they're paying higher for those boxes and they have a margin to meet for that.
Right.
And they need to go, they need to go fast because they're trying to flip their cases quicker and recoup their money, and they might have 30 cases posted. And so I think it's good for them. And I don't know that it brings down the value of the hobby box, just because, and I'll use it again, like the debut patches in Chrome Update, where they're across all SKUs. So hobby, jumbo, mega, they'll be in blasters, and then obviously in Breaker's Delight. Now, you do have specific SKUs that are for breaker products, which can sometimes inflate the value of those boxes and kind of deflate the hobby box value. Like, I think you could only get in Topps Chrome Update, you could only get like Griffey and the veteran autos in the breaker boxes, right, which I thought was a negative with Topps Chrome with Topps Chrome hobby breaker boxes, because and I think there was some misleading from some people where they were advertising that you could get certain cards across all SKUs when you could not. But I like it. We usually get 1 or 2 cases of a breaker product, and I'll break it. I will say, historically, I've not had very good luck with those cases. As far as like pulling big cards, I've had better luck with hobby. I mean, we hit the Pete Rose Superfractor 101. We hit that's the big one that pops off the top of my head. That was out of a hobby box.
That was the Bowman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the Bowman. The first.
That was
Bowman.
The break I was in.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You pulled that, and you pulled the Max Clark.
So the guy pulled that. He was offered an amount of money the day he hit it. He said no. Then he redeemed the card. He brought the card into the store, which was awesome in person. It was right before Pete passed away.
Oh, wow.
And then he ended up selling it on Golden.
Nice.
I can't remember what he got. It was 5 figures. I'm not sure if it was, I don't think it hit 20. I think it was between 10 and 15, if I remember. So that's a great return.
Fantastic ROI.
Great return. You're not getting that.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I mean, I just think, I would think as a breaker, those have to be harder to sell out because there's fewer. I mean, are there fewer teams in a? No, right? Because you could still get autographs and stuff out of every single team and everything, but because you don't get as many cards, there's chances that you could get skunked. You could get skunked in that break.
Oh yeah, you could definitely skunk. My take on it is that they brought the Breaker Delight in, and a lot of the bigger breakers are getting the Breaker's Delight, and then they're not going to stop printing hobby. They're printing plenty of these these cards. So our allocation for hobby boxes has gone up in 2024, which is nice. Not drastically, but and not to pivot into allocation, but it kind of, the way that we get that now, it kind of, we get an additional run, and then about a week later we'll get another offering if we want to buy more, and it kind of just goes in waves. It's kind of like dynamic pricing.
Oh,
kind of that
works. I mean, it makes sense from them. I guess a sense that makes sense for them to do it that way because, I mean, they're probably watching to see what the hits are that are coming and so on and so forth along those lines, and
right,
and looking at when to release things, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's I mean, to me, from a standpoint of the Breaker's Delight stuff, to me, it's like they came out with that so that breakers wouldn't have to deal with base cards.
Yeah, and that's definitely a caveat to it. It's about speed and it's just about turnover.
Yeah, I mean, you could go ahead and if you did a case of those, I mean, I would the break number one's not going to go that long. Number two, I would think sorting and getting ready to shipping and so on and so forth is going to be a little quicker also. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't have a problem with them. The thing that I don't like about them is to what you said is that if I could only go ahead and if I am a X player fan, and the only way I could get that player's ultimate card is to get into Breaker Delights.
Yeah.
That's the only part of that I necessarily don't,
I think it's added a new tentacle to the hobby. It has grown it, which is a positive to kind of to do Firestarter's thing there off the breaks. And
no.
I think he goes.
He's a big Juan Soto fan because he's a Nationals fan.
Adam was saying today the Nationals are trying to make a play to get him back because the people that brought him to the United States are still there, and the Nationals have a lot of cap. But I mean, I think he ends up with the Mets. That's just my personal opinion.
I won't complain about that.
I just don't like the Yankees either. So, my favorite product this year.
Your favorite one.
My favorite product, baseball-wise, is Triple Threads, which they did not – I don't think they did last year. And, at the National, they told us it might be coming back, but it is for sure coming back. It's next month. So baseball-wise, that's my favorite, either that or Tribute. For football, it is Spectra Football. I think Spectra Football is just gorgeous.
Really?
The design, the colors, just the patches. It's great. I love Spectra.
Any lower end product like Holiday and stuff like that?
Yeah, I used to, and honestly, I would. I mean, if somebody said, if he was to send me a message and says, "Hey, I want to do a 4-box random team break of Holiday," if I have it, I don't mind doing it. I'll do just about anything. We did logo fractor boxes one night. I wasn't going to do it just because it's so few cards. It's 8 Topps Chrome base packs where you get nothing but base cards, and then just 2 logo fractor boxes or packs. And I'm looking at the price per box to go what I said earlier. What I get into something like that, I wouldn't have gotten the logo fractor, but I had people reach out and say, "Hey, gee, I want to get in some logo fractor breaks tonight." I'm like, okay. So
they were what, $100?
They were like 125, 130 when I posted them. And so I was just like, okay, we'll just do, a 2-box break. Let's just call it $250. Divisional, which is 6 spots in baseball. So just break it down by division, and it sold out like 10 minutes. So,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I haven't seen the logo fractor that much this year. I haven't watched a lot just because I didn't go ahead. I didn't search out to watch it just because I knew I wasn't going to be getting any. So it's like, and I mean, it's not like it's that much different than Chrome or than Series 1 or than Series 2 when it comes to the pictures and all the other kind of stuff, right? I mean, Ellie De La Cruz has basically, the same, it's Ellie De La Cruz, you know what I'm saying? Or, if it's Shota, it's Shota. If it's Soto, it's Soto. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get it. I understand, the whole thing. It's, but it's like you have logo fractor, but in my point, like even some of the guys are saying, you get rid of a Gypsy Queen, which was a cool product.
Yeah.
Get rid of a Fire, which was a cool product. My favorite product that I have loved one of the reasons why I still will go to Walmart and check where the card spots are is because every now and then it'll show up. I love Gallery.
Yeah.
And I will buy the crap out of that when they have that for $15, $17, for a blaster and stuff, because I
think if they brought Fire back, I think they should just make it retail exclusive like it was. Gypsy Queen, I see why they did it because there's so many products that are paper that have guaranteed on card autographs. You have Ginter, you have Heritage, you have Heritage High Number, you have so many products that are paper. I will be curious to see what they do with SKUs once they have the licenses.
Yep.
Because once they have the licenses to baseball or to basketball and football, they're going to be able to bring back, Top Scroll football, and they're going to bring back some older products that they had back in the, early 2010s. And maybe they'll make like a hybrid product, because I feel like we're getting, because Triple Threads, Tribute, Museum Collection, and I'm sure I'm missing another one.
Dynasty.
Dynasty's more high end.
Oh, higher. Okay.
I'm just kind of thinking like Triple Threads, Museum, Tribute. They're all kind of the same thing.
Yeah, true.
And I'm not saying it's a negative, but there was a lot of people who built the Gypsy Queen set. And I'm not saying get rid of Museum Collection or one of those types of SKUs, but maybe just make them one conglomerate together and bring back something like Gypsy Queen, because that does bring in a different collector to the hobby. Because there was people that would come in and buy Gypsy Queen boxes just to build the set, because it just looks cool.
But I think it would be a pretty interesting. You could take Gypsy Queen, Fire. You could take Gallery, and I don't know. You can throw in. You can figure something else and do kind of like what make it a Chronicles-esque. Make it something along those lines, right? Where Chronicles has 17 different products that you can go ahead and get out of it. I mean, you could do the same thing with some of these other ones also. I mean, I don't know.
Well, they did that with Composite.
True.
That was their play on Chronicles. I can't remember the different SKUs within that. But,
yeah, that's true.
They had a bunch of different ones, and I think that product was kind of rushed. There's a lot of issues with that, but let's not go into that. Let's not go into that.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Allen and Ginter? I think Allen and Ginter's great. It's been around forever. I mean, there's Allen and Ginter cards, before 1900. It has a good following. It always sells well because of the price point. Ginter is always going to be under $150 for a hobby box, and you're guaranteed 3 hits.
Right.
Now you might get 3 jerseys, but it's a good price point. And like we talked earlier with Pokemon, you take a Ginter box, $150, 24 packs. It's a cheap pack, and people can come in and grab a couple packs for $10.
Right.
So I think Ginter is a staple. I think it should stay. Hopefully they don't take that away.
Yeah, I mean, I think they, I forgot Kenny. Hey, sorry I missed you before. Anthony, Pittsburgh. Where it all started 99 episodes ago.
He was episode 1.
Anthony and I, Pittsburgh, we started this together and did the first 60. Pittsburgh, he's the one who had to.
Okay, he was the one that was in Atlanta with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah, he was with that when he was with us in Atlanta and everything, and and then I'm very fortunate he let me go ahead and keep the name of the show and stuff like that and everything, so we were able to keep moving along here. Blaze
awesome.
Radio, how you doing, buddy? But I think, to your point, I hope my only thing, I mean, I hope with Ginter, I hope the non-sports stuff doesn't become as big, and not even the actors and the throwing in the baseball, the basketball, the football, the actors, the comedians, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
But I don't like, hey, the bridges and I know people love it and everything, but I hope, but
Corn dog.
just add more and more and more, of that type of stuff. It's bridges one year, it's tunnels the next year, it's caves, and it's waterfalls. I mean, I don't mind it, but don't all of a sudden, load it up with that to where when you're opening it, if you opening it, but I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely believe that Ginter, it goes, I know it goes to a wider market, stuff, from that standpoint, because there are people who, like when you do breaks on that, there are people who love to go ahead and get the, go for the non-sports card
other spot, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Firestarter said, I'll check out your A&G break. When I did A&G breaks, I mean, I would do like a 3-box divisional break, for baseball, and then the all other spot was spot 7, and that spot would always clean up as far as the number of cards.
Well, John was in a break and got the all other, and I forgot how big it was, but he got a Usain Bolt auto.
Okay.
And he got one of the comedians from SNL.
Last year was crazy because you could get on-card Wemby autos.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just nuts.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense, everything. And I think, from that standpoint, when you're looking at that, it makes sense to have those break. Tim Robinson was the guy he got from SNL and stuff. I mean, it makes sense from that standpoint, to do it that way. And look, like you said, that's there are a lot of people who will get it. Even the baseball card people, it wouldn't surprise me if some of them are going,
yeah,
I wouldn't mind hitting spot number 7.
Right. Yeah. I did a full case of Ginter. I did a PYT case, and I told myself it'll be all right. And then I'm like box 5 into the break, and I'm thinking to myself, why did I do this? Like, this is crazy, because I try to sort as I go a little bit just to stay organized. But the other spot was it was like a 3-row. It was,
oh wow,
it was like 2.5 rows of a 3-row. It was nuts. Wow, 700K. There we go.
And Dom was in a Ginter break, and he pulled Jaden Daniels auto.
Oh, nice.
John is a big Redskins fan. We still call them here on this channel.
I mean,
we say the baseball team from Georgia, and we call them the Redskins. Those are the two separations we have. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I understand the whole thing with breaks and everything. I get them and stuff, and it's all good and everything. Now, with your breaks and everything, to kind of keep moving along. Do you tie your grading into your breaks? Because you guys do grading, right?
Yeah.
You're a PSA grader?
Yep. Adam and I, so it's GA grading. It's just kind of something we talked about briefly. I talked with Chris about doing it for the last few years, and he didn't really want to mess with it. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of detail. And so Adam and I, in February this year, we're just like, hey, we could do this and offer this service for breaks and for customers in the Louisville market. And then we started it in March, and PSA, we were doing such good volume at the end of last year and first quarter of this year. They reached out and told us that, they'd like us to be a dealer. So we signed our dealer agreement, and, we've done well this year, and I push it in breaks some. We tried to do promos where everybody in a break, you could, $19 a card or $20 a card or $22 a card, whatever it is from this break. And then we have like an iPad in the store where you can join breaks and grade your cards, submit, do an online digital submission form. It's all digital, and it's just gagrading.com. And we can pin that below as well. And then
I'll add that.
And then we go to shows, not the big shows, just because we're trying to just to kind of like stay local market, and then with the breaks, because there's PSA dealers all over the country, and they have kind of their market already. Right. And there's no one in Louisville that was doing it, and it was a service that needed to be provided, and it's gone well in the first 8 months of doing it. We'll be set up. We do the local show here every month. Adam and I do. It's the J&J All-Star Card Show, and we do subs there. And then next month there's a 300 table show in Lexington, and we're going to be there as the PSA submitter dealer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and then I think we have one show in January, and then we're going to go to Michiana in March to be the PSA group submitter there. From a customer, he found us online. He used our services, I think, 2 or 3 times, and I think he gemmed about 92% of his cards. And then he's like, "Hey, we're doing a card show in March, and I would love for you to come set up and take PSA subs." So, just like the breaks, it's word of mouth, it's talking to people, it's networking, and then it's just building a rapport and providing good customer service, and obviously good results on your grades. So, and we do a review service too, because I don't want to send a car where I know there's something clearly wrong with it.
Right.
So
because we know that every card is not a 10, even though everybody believes I watched you open it, you handled it well. It should be a 10 because it just came out of a pack
right
20 seconds ago.
Right.
And it doesn't, so from that standpoint, so it makes
sense.
sense.
It could get scratched in the printing process. A corner could get hooked up through going through one of the rollers. The pack was sealed too tight. There's all kinds of different things that could go wrong with it. But yeah, it's a good partnership that we have with the store. It's not owned by Louisville Sports Cards, but we work together. And obviously, Adam and I work at the store all the time. So it's just it's a good mutual benefit for everybody involved.
And you're not just modern, you're whatever anybody brings in.
Yeah, we submitted a Michael Jordan finals ticket. We submitted Juice's Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl ticket. Yeah, I mean, anything. I think we sent out. We had 5 subs go out today. We had a Pokemon order. We had a vintage order, a modern order, a regular order, and an express order. So 5 different orders. We actually have a 97, 98 Michael Jordan Jambalaya there right now, and I'm very nervous to see what's going to grade. It's been in assembly for 3 days. So PSA 8s are only like $40,000. It's crazy.
Damn.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's grading is great. Grading is good. My son has a he has a grading service also. He's a SGC guy.
Okay.
He really loves them and stuff like that. And the whole thing with the grading, a 10 here, a 10. I mean, that stuff. I don't even want to talk about that kind of stuff because I will never understand the thing as why. I mean, why PSA was. I mean, why PSA has the level they have, but the truth of the matter is right now it really doesn't matter anymore. It's not really going to change. They are the one that if you, to me, it's like one of those things. It's, hey, if you, if you care about the value of the card and you want to get, and then you think it's going to 10, then, yes, I mean, every single one of your cards should go to PSA.
If you want to maximize your profit or limit your loss on a card, then yes, PSA is the way to go, just because of the way that they've positioned themselves in not only the hobby but in the grading industry.
Yep.
And then just the way they conducted themselves during COVID. I mean, they really stayed open as long as they could. I think Beckett made a lot of errors during COVID. I think that's been very well circled around the sports card industry.
Yep.
And we'll see what the PSA behind SGC had the effect. I mean, because SGC was known for the longest time about pre-war, and that's where you set your vintage to.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, but the thing is we crack a lot of SGC slabs, and I'm looking at some SGC 10s, and there's like cards with creases in them, and like Dean corners. I mean, we just cracked a couple SGC 9, 5, and 10 for Juice, and one of them came back a 6, and one of them came back a 7. I mean, just I don't know. And they advertise these quick turnarounds, and I mean, if you promise a 10-day turnaround, you better get it back in 10 days. But are you really looking at the cards in a very detailed manner? Is the only question I have.
Yeah, I mean, I go ahead and I mean, honestly, the stuff that I will have my son look at, and then and then put through him, with SGC. Those are cards, probably 99% of them are from my collection. It's more or less really just to protect, the card.
Sure.
So like I've gotten, like some, like he's looking at some Tops Now cards to me,
Yeah.
but they're Tops Now cards of the Mets in their playoffs, right? And I have the Mark Vientos, and I actually got a 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5, either 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. You know, he'll send that in, and I'll say, hey, just to go ahead and
Yeah.
protect.
Those grade pretty well too.
Yeah, they do.
Typically.
Yeah, they do. I mean, so from that standpoint, but like I said, I understand the whole thing and stuff like that. I, like you, wonder the same, type of thing. Are there, with a PSA and an SGC, you're under the exact same umbrella. So is there a sharing of, hey, when we look at a card, these, we look at, yes, they're all looking at the same things.
Yeah.
But do they look at them differently? And do
Yeah.
they, and like, do they look at, let's say, like, the back of the card different? Is one harder on, let's say, the back of a card? Because the truth of the matter is again, I'm thinking from a collection standpoint, or, I'm not thinking about, like you said, the jambalaya, the $40,000 card as an 8. I can understand you caring about the front and the back from that card. And I know you can't say, well, hey, we're going to have one set of standards. The card's going to be like really, really expensive, and another set of standards for the people that really don't care about, the value. I understand you can't do that, but I wonder if there's some kind of,
Yeah, I don't think that they communicate in that regard. But I will say, if it's a serial numbered card, I don't know that they're communicating, but it's a lot easier to track.
True.
If you're sending something to SGC and it's numbered out of 10 and it's 5 of 10, and then you get it back and it's an 8 and you crack it and you send it to PSA, it's really easy to find that, especially now with the way that they upcharge a lot of stuff. And they have a whole division now that essentially just comps cards when orders are popping. So they're able to find comps on, if the card has sold, they're going to find it because they search every auction house and eBay and
Right. Yeah.
everything looking to see. Because I mean, the maximum value on a bulk card is $500, and we've had people give us $5,000 cards, and they're like, "Oh, I'll just send it at bulk," and I'm like, I can't,
Right.
like, per our agreement with PSA, we have to send cards at the appropriate level based on value. You know what I mean? So we just can't do that. And then it goes with insurance. I mean, if the
Right.
card was to get messed up, do you want $500 for that card, or do you want $5,000 for that card?
Yeah.
So kind of goes with that.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't, me personally, like I said, I don't, look at it any different. I mean, I because I understand it. I mean, I understand why it is the way it is.
Yeah.
And you do what you want to do. I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, I don't think any, I understand. Look, every grading company has their fanboys. Even if you look at, like, I mean, there are people who love tag because they love what their slab looks like and everything
Yeah.
like that. That's fine. Go right ahead. Do
Yeah.
what you want to do. They're your freaking cards. It's your hobby.
Right.
Hobby the way you want to. And
Yeah.
if someone's giving you a bunch of crap because you have your collection slabbed by tag, well, screw them. Who cares?
Collect what you like.
Right.
Buy what you like.
Yeah.
Grade with whomever you like. I mean, when I got back into this in 2009, from 2009 until 2018,
Thanks, Maddie.
I was a Beckett guy. Like I would say 90% of my Michael Jordan collection are Beckett slabs, because I love the subgrades, I love the inner sleeve, and the quality of the slab. But then Beckett has just made very bad decisions over the last 5 years, and they've really destroyed the monetary value of their slabs. And PSA has done a lot of changes, but they've kind of gone the opposite way here.
Yeah.
Like, PSA's got innovation. They're changing their slab. They're changing the security of their slab, the labels. They're taking measures to make sure that the collectible itself is protected. And at the end of the day, that's why you grade a card with whomever that you grade with. because you want your card, your collectible, the thing that you spent your hard-earned money on, you want it protected.
Right.
And if you can't do that, then that's where you kind of just need to go with a better grading company if you want to make that decision.
Right. No, I agree. And I've said that for, I've said that forever and stuff like that. I was like, people would say, oh, what, before before the Players Association, pulled out with Panini for baseball. Oh my gosh, you're buying Prism baseball, you're buying Mosaic baseball. It's like, yeah, I like baseball,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I want to get a Francisco Lindor. I mean, if I'm collecting Francisco Lindor because he's my guy, then I want all the Francisco Lindor cards, and he has cards in Prism and cards in Mosaic and
Yeah.
cards in Chronicles. So yeah, why wouldn't I buy it? Who
I
cares?
mean, flawless baseball.
Yeah,
Before 2023, 2022 and earlier, you could get a chance at a Babe Ruth cut auto.
right.
Flawless baseball is a lot cheaper than Transcendent baseball.
Well,
So
yeah,
just because it doesn't have the Yankee logo on there, it's still a Babe Ruth cut auto.
yeah,
I saw the question down there.
yeah. We know, Dom Beckett.
Yeah.
Dr. Beckett didn't make the mistakes. It's the people who took
Yeah.
over his
I think
name.
they're pretty easy to find on the web.
Oh yeah. I
Big
mean,
thing. They wanted to change the slab, and then they were trying to change the grading scale on the subgrades on what determines a Beckett 9, a Beckett 9.5, and a Beckett 10. And then they got backlash for it and tried to say that they never did it, which was just, it's 2024. Once you put it on the internet, it does not go away.
It does not go away. Somebody's saving that one because someone, there's a whole bunch of people going, oh, that's a bad statement to make. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a screenshot of this one and put that, and I'm going to put that in my OneDrive and let it sit there and let it just go ahead and marinate for a while because at some time that sucker's going to be ready for show.
It's like a tweet. If you sent a tweet in 2017 and it's 2024, it's still there. Somebody can go find it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I think the thing with when it comes to the products, the non-licensed versus the licensed and everything, and the one that got me, and I knew, it had nothing to do with, it has nothing to do with licensing. And the reason why I say that is this. I heard the guys who poo-pooed, crapped on all the baseball stuff that Panini was doing. But then this past year, when Fanatics did the basketball and the football, they didn't say a damn word about it. It had nothing to do with licensing. It had to do with you guys just don't like baseball.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but you had no problem jumping going, oh my gosh, Topps Chrome. Oh, it's unbelievable. It's like,
yeah. Topps Chrome.
Did you really
Topps
sit down? Did you really sit and look at Topps Chrome basketball?
Yeah. It wasn't
it's
great.
It's not horrible, but it ain't like, oh my gosh, I got to run out and get it.
Yeah.
And then I think they killed themselves from a retail perspective of making it extremely, extremely hard to hit anything. And, out of a blaster box that you could go to a store and buy, whether it be an LCS or anything like that.
I just think that, and I don't disagree with the business decision. They were just trying to capitalize as much as they could on Wemby when he's unlicensed. So I don't blame them. I agree with the business decision from their perspective. You have a once in a generational type talent. You don't have the license being able to use his logo or the NBA, so they just did as much as they could and got as many products out. And Topps Chrome basketball is so popular, ever since the first year in '96 with Kobe and Ray Allen and Steve Nash and Abdur Rahim and Iverson and all the other guys that were in '96 Chrome.
Yep.
And it really hit a lot of guys, my age. I was born in '85, so I was 11. So if you were opening cards in '96 and Topps Chrome, so a lot of people just wanted to see Topps Chrome basketball back. I just wish that they would have taken a little bit more time with it and done a little bit more due diligence and some more detail on some of the cards. But it's also hard to do when you don't have the license, like you said. But Wemby's such a generational talent; they had to do more product.
I mean, you have his auto. You're the only one who could put in his autograph on a card.
Yeah,
It's just like the thing they did with football with a bunch of the football players that they had gotten, right? Because didn't Fanatics get, what was it, like 7 out of the top 9 those first quarterbacks drafted, or 6 out of 8, whatever the heck the number is. So if you wanted a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels, something like that, you look, hey, if you want their autograph on a rookie card. Now, what I'm curious about, and let me ask you what your opinion is here. A Wemby Topps Chrome rookie card autograph, unlicensed. A Wemby Topps Chrome autograph on a fully licensed product. Obviously, it can't be his rookie card. What do you think, that happens to a value standpoint?
One, I'll be curious to see how they stamp his first licensed Topps Chrome cards. If they put, because I think they did the Bowman Chrome U first Bowmans, right? I think Bowman Chrome Inception, Bowman Chrome U, they did first Bowman on him.
Yes.
So I'll be curious to see if they do some sort of first something with his cards that are licensed.
Well, they might try that, what they did with baseball, because then with baseball, didn't they do that first card?
Yeah.
Well, that was the first card off the printing press, right?
My first Bowman card.
Yeah.
In Bowman Chrome. But I think like a licensed, I mean, I don't know what the top of my head what Wemby Topps Chrome autos are doing. I mean, the base Topps Chrome auto, I want to say they were like $2,000, right? $2 or $3,000.
Right.
But I mean, a licensed one's, in my opinion, probably 2.5, 3x that. Now that's just a random guess, but I mean, if he's got the Spurs logo and the NBA logo and all that stuff on the card, and it's like a 1996 design, then yeah, I think that's way higher than a non-licensed current product that they have.
I can only imagine. So is that going to be the 20? Is that 25-26 season, or is it 26-27 season?
I was just talking with Chris about this because there's some confusion on, is the NFL up first or is the NBA up first? One of them ends, I'm pretty sure, the end of this year, and then one of them ends like June or July of next year. But I'm not sure which one that is. But what you said earlier about how, Fanatics has the quarterbacks. I mean, them going out and getting exclusive autograph deals with all the quarterbacks has really, really hurt football in general, like wax. I mean, because when you take Bryce Young, Will Levis, CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams out of football, I mean, that's just and they're doing it. Again, it's a business decision. They're trying to hit Panini where it hurts on the bottom line, to force Panini to sell or make a decision. And Panini has more money than people think they do. I mean, they've been around a long time.
Oh yeah, and they are, I mean, people think that they know, but I mean, their soccer market in Europe and over that way is incredible. They do a lot of soccer and stuff like that. Over
it's an Italian-owned company, right? They're Italian-owned, correct?
Yes, they are.
There's a question there from Tom. I actually read about this today, that I think it's the CEO or operating officer of Beckett was just indicted today on $2 billion in money laundering, fraud, something like that. Like, that's not good either.
800, 1,100 for a Topps Chrome Royal Wemby sold on eBay. Yeah.
Okay, so they're about $1,000. So I mean, I would still say a licensed Topps Chrome would probably be about $3,000 or so. I mean, look how well his non-auto numbered Prism stuff sells for. True. I mean, because he's got the Spurs logo on it.
Spurs logo on it.
I mean, his base Prism cards, PSA 10s, are $100. They were like $500.
Yeah.
I think they're still in that $100 to $125 range, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I tell you, I can only imagine what, and you think about from a standpoint of that product comes out, and you think about it, you have to, I know a lot of people are going to focus on Wemby
Yeah.
because he's the shiny object in the room right now, right? But you think about all the players who have joined the league from when Topps stopped going ahead and printing logo, basketball with license stuff. Of all of a sudden now it's their first card of a Topps also.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying from that, from that standpoint, and I'm not sure when they finish because Curry's still a Topps Chrome, right? Is that his?
Yeah, he was 9-10.
Yeah.
Um,
No, but
I'd
you
have
think,
to know Dave, who works at the store. He would be able to answer this question in 5 seconds.
but you think, Anthony Edwards, you think Joker, you think Tatum, you think Brown. I mean, you just think of, I mean, SGA, Luca.
Oh yeah,
All of a sudden, these guys now in a Topps Chrome card for the
yeah,
first time, with that logo. So though I can only imagine
yeah. I'd be
what
curious
those
to see
boxes are going to be
how
at.
they would compete with Prism, because Prism is king when it comes to basketball. I don't know
But
if you're going. I don't know if you're going this.
how could Prism remain king if you strip
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
logo?
Once they stop,
That's what I
then
mean. That's what I mean. I mean, when everything moves to Topps, where
yeah,
they are now, or FedEx, I should say, where now they have the right to, now they own the logos, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I can only imagine what some of those cards are going to go for, or all of a sudden people are going to, you talk about driving up the price and everything. Again,
yeah,
now it's like, I can get a Luka in a Topps Chrome, with the logo on it. Yes, I could have got it this year, in something. But
yeah.
now I can get it with the logo because he's not a rookie, so it's not that big of a deal. A Topps Chrome, the first year they come out, a Topps Chrome Luca with the autograph on it is a lot different. With the, to me, like you said, if we already think the Wemby, even though it's not his rookie card, is going to be 2-3x. I can only
I just
imagine the results might also.
I just wish they would bring back the quality of the refractors from late 90s and early 2000s basketball. I mean, give me some 03, 04 Topps Chrome the color, the
Yep.
X refractors, the black refractors, and all of those different. They just hit so much different. I'm a Jordan refractor guy, and you're talking about like 96 and 97 Topps Chrome. The color on those cards just hit a whole different way than like a Prism silver hits. Like, it's not just silver, it's got all the red and the green and all the colors, and they're just beautiful design and beautiful cards. And hopefully they get back to that. I mean, I'm sure they still have that technology. Like,
I got to.
I mean, I'm sure they still have it. It's probably better now than what it
Yeah.
ever has been. So,
Well, I think that, and some of the inserts were badass too.
that they were, man. I don't know if you've Arena Design. I can't remember her first name. It was her and her husband. They were the main designers for Fleer and Skybox back in the 90s. And she actually did a podcast like this with Josh Johnson, Cardboard Chronicles, one of the owners of Card Ladder. And so before he started Card Ladder, he was doing podcasts just like this and having guests on. And she was on there, and she had like behind her just kind of like mine set up, but she had uncut sheets of like Jambalaya, Ultra Stars, like all the stuff. It's just chilling behind her. It's one of the best watches I've had.
Yeah.
So I would tell you and your viewers, if you have time, I'm sure it's still on YouTube somewhere. Arena Design. I can't remember. I think her first name's Jane. It might be Jane Arena. But it's a great watch.
Oh wow. Very cool. Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Hey, well, we've been going for an hour and 20.
It's great.
Thank you so much. Go ahead and get ready to close it down. Again, thank you so much for taking the time. It's much appreciated. Glad we were able to go ahead and the stars were able to, and the planets and everything in the universe were able to form a straight line. For us and stuff to be able to sit here and chat and stuff. I'll have to figure. Let me know. Like what? I mean, you wouldn't be able to do this year, but even let's say sometime into next year. Let me know when that local card show is.
Okay.
Maybe I'll see if my son could go ahead, and request the weekend off and everything, and him and I can go ahead and go up there and come and see the shop and come to the show.
It's a pretty small show, about 100 tables, but come in town. If we can figure out a date, I still have some connections in the hotel industry. I should be able to get you up, maybe not a free room, but very cheap hotel room for you guys to stay in. But yeah, come by and check out the store. We can go out to dinner, hang out. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I mean, you've gotten plenty of breaks over the last few years, and you've been supporting the store and myself. And I've been meaning to get on here sooner, but Wednesdays are like my hectic days.
No, and I knew it, and that's why I'd always said to you, hey man, the invitation is there. If you can look out and see what's going on, go right ahead. If not, but again, it just as soon as I was laying out the calendar, at the end of October, I started laying out the calendar for November, and I was like, Wednesday is November 20th. That's my wedding anniversary. Show's going to be on Tuesday. Yeah. I better reach out to G now.
Locked it in, baby.
So I appreciate it. Again, hey, everybody, don't forget, check them out. Links are below, for everything there. And check out the breaks. You're not going to go wrong. They do a great job there and stuff like that. So I appreciate everybody coming out, hanging out with us. And 8 more days. Next Wednesday, episode number 100.
That's awesome. Who's coming on?
I don't know. I don't have anybody right now. I just I just may do like an open mic thing. I think I'm not sure.
See if Juice is busy. Hit him up.
I will. I don't know. He's Vegas now, man.
I know. I'll send him a message and tell him to do it next Wednesday. I'll tell him to block an hour off for you if you don't find anybody else.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate all these.
See y'all.